state time to actually develop. So communicate to others that you're unavailable during these times. Like I said, everything on do not disturb, etc. Next is to build a clear pre-flow ritual. So develop a consistent 3 to 5 minute routine that you perform before attempting your flow state work, like arranging your workspace, putting on specific music, or taking 3 deep breaths. So for me personally, every morning I have my coffee, and then also I would play specific music every time I would start work. I don't really do that much anymore, but it would be just instrumental music. And I would do that all the time. And I used to burn incense or burn candles as well while I do work. And then I don't really do much anymore, but again, it just puts me into that flow state really easily. And then also now gives me a feeling of nostalgia, because whenever I smell candles, it reminds me of the come up grinding in my old dingy apartment, working like crazy. Next is to define crystal clear session goals. And I have lots of different ways to actually show you how to come up with these and organize them. I'm going to show you my own planning right here as well. And we're going to go over that. Before starting, write down exactly what you aim to accomplish in specific measurable terms. Vague objectives prevent flow. Precise targets enable it. And then finally, you want to practice mindfulness between sessions. So regular meditation strengthens your ability to notice and release distracting thoughts, a crucial skill for maintaining flow once you're in it. Even very simple 5-minute daily habits like this can increase your capacity significantly. And guys, when it comes to the mindfulness and the meditation, I want to give you another analogy just to kind of bring it back. So one that you might have heard me say before, either in this video or previously in other videos, is that it's more like you're always going to get those distracting thoughts. What am I going to have for dinner tonight, et cetera, et cetera. But the key is not to just block them out, because that will never happen. That is unrealistic. Instead, the key is to recognize that you're having an outside thought and then just don't even mind it. Don't go down the rabbit hole. For example, it's like when somebody calls you on your phone. You see the caller, you see that your phone is ringing, but you don't answer it. You don't give into it. You just bring your mind back to whatever you're focusing on, which is probably going to be your breath. You do that enough times, and it's a perfect example of what you're going to be able to do in business. If you're able to block out all of these other things, oh man, I have this notification. Oh, I really want to go out and do this today. I'm going to go leave and go to the cupboard, go get a snack, even though I'm not even hungry. It's just because I want to distract myself and procrastinate. If you consistently practice the skill of bringing your attention back, then you're going to be an absolute monster. So now we have to understand deep work. So deep work is a concept that was created by Cal Newport. I actually have his book right here. Now, this book in particular has a lot of fluff in it. I'm not going to lie. A lot of studies, a lot of them just telling you random facts and things and neurological terms. But to cut to the chase, this is what deep work is and how we can actually use it. It's kind of like flow state, but not necessarily flow state. It describes work different from shallow work. So those are the two types, deep work and shallow work. So here's how we're going to use them. Understanding deep work. Deep work is the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. That basically describes what deep work is. Cognitively demanding and also priority and important. When you engage in deep work, you're operating at a very limit of your cognitive abilities, pushing your focus to its maximum potential. This state is different from casual concentration or multitasking. It's deliberate, intense form of attention that activates different neural pathways and produces qualitatively different results from shallow work. Deep work isn't just about productivity, it's about depth and meaning of what you create. The ability to think deeply about complex problems to create new innovations. So for example, in my own life, writing YouTube videos, writing courses, talking to people to a certain extent, those are my deep work tasks. Actually setting up my day, writing short form content, then recording this video right now is going to be deep work because, obviously it takes a lot of work to read consistently, come on camera, high energy, et cetera, et cetera. I also have a live class with my paid community later. I have a community of people where I do group coaching calls with them, and I have to do that later. So that's going to be deep work too. So those are some examples of some of my deep work tasks that I do throughout the day. Now, actionable steps to actually implement the deep work itself. Number one is to schedule deep work blocks. This is highly important. We're going to get into scheduling here in a second. So proactively add 90 to 120 minute uninterrupted deep work sessions to your calendar and treat them with the same respects as important meetings. So I have my calendar set up in two different sections. One is the deep work section, and one is the shallow work section. Now, just like noted right here, most people only have around 3 to 4 hours of deep work in them per day. So don't think you're going to be out here doing like deep work for 9 hours a day. It doesn't work like that. You can attempt to work on deep level activities for 9 hours a day, but at the end of the day, it's also about output. Remember, we talked about this where just being busy is not necessarily a badge of honor. You want to focus on output. So let's say you're creating slides for a presentation like the ones that you're watching right now. If you are able to start, you're doing deep work, you're in flow state, and you can get 10 slides per hour, 8 hours later, how many slides per hour you think? 2, 3 slides per hour. So at that point, you're getting such diminishing returns. Is it even worth still working on the deep work? Most cases, no. Next, track your deep hours. Keep simple log of how many hours of true deep work you complete each day, creating accountability and motivation to increase this number over time. Now, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but I have a software that I always use, and I've been talking about this since like way back in the beginning when I first started YouTube. It's called Toggle Time Tracker, Toggl. I don't currently use it, but when I was actually coming up, I was using it. Even before I made my first dollar, I used it because it would actually allow me to see where my time went. And then I would schedule all the times that I'd be doing things like scrolling or goofing off or messing around or just not tracking anything or not doing anything important or productive. Because I would track it, I would be less likely to spend a lot of time doing it. I'll give you an example. One of the best ways to lose weight is to not change anything about your diet, not go on a diet, not do keto, not do vegetarian diet. Literally just get on this scale every day. Because calling attention to a metric usually improves that metric subconsciously. Remember, we talked about subconsciously is what your whole body and your whole life revolves around. So you're able to actually program your subconscious by just keeping track of the numbers, knowing how much time you do each thing. Next is to build a shutdown ritual. So create a specific end of day routine where you review your accomplishments, you plan tomorrow's priorities, and you physically close the office. This helps your brain transition out of work mode, right? So not work mode and recovery mode is also just as important as well. So just to recap, you have deep work, which is you working furiously. You have shallow work, which is you doing the tasks that need to be done that you can throw on some music to, or you don't have to give 100% of your full attention and effort. And then we have recovery tasks. These are the things that you do after work at some time and then actually also help you peripherally. So a meditation thing or just going out in nature and your environment and really bringing that feeling in so that you can work long periods of time. We also want longevity. You can actually touch grass every once in a while. Next is to start small and build stamina. So begin with shorter deep work sessions, especially if you're absolutely brain fried, you're a dopamine zombie. You don't want to be out here being like, I'm going to work for 5 hours deep work every day, because you're probably not going to be able to. You have to understand and give a true, real hard look in the mirror and be like, all right, where am I right now? Mental capacity wise, because I've been there too. I have no life to video games where I would speed run Tony Hawk's Underground 2 and just see if I can beat the whole game in 3 days, where I just stay up and I just play the game. I was deep into that as well. So you have to give an objective look at where you are. Are you scrolling for hours and hours every single day? Are you addicted to video games, et cetera, et cetera? You need to reset your dopamine. Deep work is like a mental muscle and it needs training. So you'll get better at this over time. So make sure you understand just how long you've been doing it and aim to beat it next time. Being consistently uncomfortable is the only way to grow, because there is no growth in comfort. It's like hypertrophy. Same thing. You go to the gym, you build your muscles, you do your bicep curls, and you're literally tearing the muscle. It's uncomfortable. It hurts. You're not tearing the muscle, you're tearing the muscle fibers, the fascia, so that it can regrow stronger. And it's the same with deep work. You have to go until you are mentally exhausted and it basically physically hurts your brain, your cranium. And then you just do it all over again the next day, but you'll be able to do a little bit more. That's the process. That's all it is. That's all life really is. Business is just a microcosm of life. So all of these lessons that you're learning are not only going to make you absolutely deadly in business, but just in life, everything you do. If you play a sport, if you pick up a hobby, you're going to be insane at it. Next is to use the 3 most important tasks rule. So identify the 3 highest impact tasks that require deep work each day and tackle them during your peak energy hours, typically in the morning for most people. Next is to establish rules of engagement. Communicate clear boundaries with colleagues, family, or roommates about when you're unavailable and what constitutes an emergency interruption worthy of breaking your focus. For example, everybody knows they're not getting in contact with me, pretty much, period. I'm really bad at just answering messages in the first place. But just in general, people know that my phone is always on Do Not Disturb. Some people are like, oh yeah, I tried to call Tyson the other day and he hung up like immediately. And it's like, no, his phone is just always on Do Not Disturb, like literally always. Next is to prepare materials in advance. Before each deep work session, gather all the necessary resources, documents, tools, research, to avoid the temptation of opening email or browsers during your focus time. Meaning that if you are going into a deep work session tomorrow morning, you should get everything ready for that deep work session tomorrow morning the night before when you're already exhausted, you've already done your deep work for the day. And then finally, it's to practice attention